Today is Friday, July 28th, 2023, and welcome to episode 54 of Reliance with Canny Couple. I'm Julia.
I'm Aaron.
And we are a small homestead family in rural Southwest Virginia that work every single day on being more self-sufficient and more self-reliant.
Yeah, and today is maybe something that you're familiar with if you listen to our podcast regularly. We are doing our monthly Homestead Frugal tactics.
Absolutely. And right now we really feel being frugal and applying this to our homestead is so much more important.
Yes.
I know everything you read, all the news media is saying that inflation is down, the cost of living is getting better, all these things are changing, but we aren't seeing a decrease. We're not seeing a change. We're just seeing our prices go up.
No, and very true. And before we get started, some things to think about here that I came across this week. Number one was our electric company, which is Appalachian Power. They have other versions of it. So like AEP Ohio is one of them that I was reading about that their rate increases went up this month. Most people were saying that they either doubled or tripled their electric bills right now.
It's insane.
Yeah.
That's in our area, and we have no competition. There's not another electric company you can go choose from.
Right.
And solar is a thing, but it is not like it's not super readily available in this area. You don't see a lot of solar.
There are not a lot of solar installers.
Very few.
There's, you could probably a handful. I mean,
Probably less than that.
5.
Way less than 5.
In the, probably 100, 150 mile range.
Yeah, it's getting rough.
Yeah. But another one I wanted to read off was the Pepsi CFO said that the fact that commodities have moderated, they're still inflationary. And I suspect even as we go into next year, commodities will still be inflationary. And with that, prices will still increase. Now, the rate of increase will come down, he said, but the prices will still increase certainly into next year. And that's how they're predicting. So if you don't follow Pepsi, what all they own, look into what all they own.
It's insane.
They own so much because you've got Lay's that's in with them as well. And if you start looking into Lay's, Frito, what all that they own, that's a lot of the food stuff right now. So if they're saying food is going to basically still
keep
increase,
going up.
Yeah.
They're basically saying the things that they're saying inflation is not here. It's stopped, but prices are still going to continue to increase, at least through the next year.
Yeah.
So what do we do?
What you do? You're going to have to make lifestyle changes. You're going to have to make cutbacks on things.
Just to mitigate.
Just to
mitigate the cost. So
yes.
If, like, you drink soda, cut back on the soda or cut it out, like, completely. Yep. Things of that nature. So it's just, this is one of the reasons we feel it's so important to be frugal. You had another article.
Yes.
And one more.
Yes.
Sorry, that's why he's looking away. He's
Yeah.
looking at his article.
So I wanted to make sure I didn't mistake something, what they said. The other one was that the U.S. personal savings have collapsed $5.5 trillion since April of 2020. So basically, everybody's savings is gone now. So what's going to happen is people running up credit card debt extremely right now, or are they just not making bill payments? What it's very
everything
concerning.
that was built up in 2020
It's gone.
Is gone. That's basically what it's saying, because that was like unprecedented. You couldn't go anywhere.
Yep, people
you
were
stayed
saving
at home.
money.
People were saving money. They were concerned. Well, that concern is gone because now life's back to normal. We all want to live the life we want to live. Life didn't really change for us.
No.
We stay home. We're like your quintessential home buddies. So we rarely go anywhere. But now there's no, they've used up all their savings. Aaron just saw a chart just before we started
Just before
this.
we got on this, saying that more people are getting rejected now than I think it was it ever before? Did it say?
It was something like that.
Yeah,
For
on car loans. So it was 14% of people now are getting rejected.
Then
for
they're
car
getting
loans.
approved. So more people are not being able to
Yep.
purchase vehicles.
Yep.
It's,
So I mean that shows. I mean it's the interest rate increases.
It is.
It is. So they can't afford these payments. You know.
and the vehicles are way more expensive now.
Yes. Yes.
They have been since 2020.
Right. So everything's more expensive. They can't afford the payments. People hasn't seen the wage increase to, go with that either.
You would
Yeah.
see used cars sell for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. I mean,
Now
it
you
was
do.
crazy.
Well, now you do.
You did. You
Now
did
you
in
got them a little
2020.
cheaper than that before.
Well, no, my friend at work, she sold hers for a huge price because
Oh,
she didn't
sold
have a
it,
vehicle.
yes.
She
Yeah,
sold it
yeah.
for that. She sold a vehicle, it was used. It was like
Yeah, I
two
heard
or
a
three.
lot of people saying at that time that they sold vehicles that they bought and made money off of them selling
Like,
them used.
A massive amount of
Right,
money. It
right.
was crazy. And it's not as bad. I don't think the used market is as bad as it was.
I've read some things saying it's still high, and they're hoping it's going to start coming down because they haven't seen as many people buying cars lately.
Because they're all getting rejected.
Right, because people can't afford to buy them.
So we have actually came to some sort of a conclusion this past week that, we've always been frugal. We've always really focused on frugality. It's always been an important
Yep.
aspect of our lifestyle. But when it came to homesteading,
When we initially started.
we didn't really apply it.
No, it was get it done now.
Build. And when
build,
we
build,
did,
plant trees.
that was there. Like any tree, like, ooh, this sounds good. Ooh, this sounds good. Ooh. We did not do this really smart. Not in all reality.
Right.
So that's why it really became a big focus for us to focus on being frugal homesteaders and
Yes.
bringing the frugality mindset, not the cheap mindset. We don't really go that way. We will spend money where we need to, but really making sure we're spending that money where we actually need to on our homestead to get to our goals. And also making sure that we are working towards our goals and doing it with, with saving money in mind.
Right.
Get the job done, but also save money while we're doing it.
Yeah.
Whatever that takes. This just really became a high focus for us, which is what this segment we do every month is about.
Yeah. I mean, this is us. This is our frugality plus our homestead combined.
Yeah, because for us, we've really tried to focus on making homesteading part of the frugality of lifestyle.
To tell everybody, hey, you can get into homesteading if you do it right.
Because we did not.
Right. I mean, you can do this from a frugal standpoint and build up that life you want to live.
Because that's where we are now. We're still in the building phase. We're not where we want to be. We're still like in the beginning stages of building, trying to figure out what we want, where we want to put it, work with what we have, but still doing the things that need to be done and we find very important. So I guess the first thing we want to talk about this month is what really worked for us. And the first area I want to focus on is grocery and food.
Yes.
So this is where we've done the best.
Yes, definitely. I know we came out of last month out of the pantry challenge, and I don't know if we were still more in the mindset of spending less, or if it's like, oh my gosh, the prices of everything is so high, we can't spend that much.
I've really kind of watched everything, watched what we've bought, and really focused on sales. We're kind of in a slump. Like, nothing's really on sale in our area. Like, we have found a few. Like, the best loss leader item that we actually found was bacon.
Yeah.
It was a really good deal. It was under $2.50 a pound. I got 2. I would have gone more if I could have.
Yeah.
So that was a really good price for our area. I hadn't seen it that cheap in ages.
Yeah.
I mean, in a terribly long time. It is usually around $3 to $4. At $4, I'm typically buying it. So when I saw it at $2.50 or less, then I absolutely jumped on it. So we've not had a lot of lost leader items. We've not had a lot of really good sell items. It's been mostly just getting the things we need, like bananas and milk, things like that.
I mean, and a few other items, but we've been building our meals off the garden.
Off the garden, we have. We've really been heavily focused. So I've been kind of being creative with lunches and dinners and trying to pull what we have readily available, because we have potatoes. We have so much zucchini and squash. Like we're not making a dent in the zucchini and squash right now. No. And being creative with how I cook it, how I fix it. And we're really relying very heavily on what we have. We're getting cucumbers and things. We're just really trying to pull what we have, use what we have, and eat it. And I've really built my meal plans. Every meal around having zucchini and squash, having cucumbers, things like that when we have them in the house. So, like for lunch this week, we had potatoes with chili. It's a great lunch. Great lunch. And it works out really well. We also had a fresh side of vegetables.
Yep.
Raw vegetables, which are very good for you. So we had a lot of things that were really good for us. Most of the meal is something we grew. So it's not really costing us anything. And we have not, beyond what we put into the ground when we started, the potatoes have not been watered. We can't water them. There's no way you're getting water up the hill.
I don't have a long enough water hose for that.
It'd probably take like 100 feet. Yeah. At least. Yeah. I still don't think it'd be
probably
long enough.
Probably won't have any water pressure.
You won't have any water pressure. And we have not fertilized since we put it in the ground. Mm-hmm. And they've done amazing. The potatoes have been, we're just in the red potatoes, and Aaron hasn't used the whole row.
Yeah.
And we've been eating off potatoes for 3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
3 weeks heavily. But they're like this big, and they're good. They're just so good. The little red potatoes are our favorite. We'd rather eat those fresh every day of the week.
Talk grocery budget wise though. So what we actually spent this month is $235.30 is what we spent on groceries this whole month.
Yes. Now we did make a few key changes that have really, really helped cut our grocery budget. One of the biggest change we did was coffee creamer. So with the pantry challenge, I started getting creative to make coffee creamer, because that was always a big expense for us. I didn't really realize how big of an expense that was for us.
I know, right?
I mean,
because we were at least buying two a week, and when they were on sale at that time,
it was about $2.99.
Well, yeah, it used to be $2.29 before, but you know, we were spending $5 to $6 a week.
We've really cut that down to $3 because we get 2 gallons of whole milk.
Right.
And when you buy 2 gallons of whole milk, you'll get $1 off of each.
Yes.
And we have to buy at least a gallon a week for the baby.
Yep.
Having an extra gallon, we make 2 batches, so I make 8 cups a week, and that lasts us for the week. I'm the one who needs more creamer.
Yes.
Aaron's a lot lighter.
We could probably
do one.
Yeah, cut it back.
But I cannot. I cannot. I like my coffee creamer. But that change has helped a lot. It's really if you think of it this way, even at $5 a week, times that by 4, that's $20.
Mm-hmm.
It's $20 we've cut off of our grocery budget. We've cut that down quite a bit. So I'm really happy with some of these small changes that we've made.
Yeah.
We've also been heavily preserving right now. We are in preservation.
Squash and zucchini, squash and zucchini, squash and zucchini.
I'm in heavy cutting up squash and zucchini mode.
Yeah.
We've actually been relying really heavily on the freeze dryer, running it when we can.
Right. So I guess we can. I don't know if this is probably later on, but you know, the food preservation part, you know, running the freeze dryer is going to increase our electricity costs. Mm-hmm. We do know that.
We do, and we're managing that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that a little later. But it It is the best way. I've dehydrated zucchini. I prefer the freeze dried.
Yes.
Dehydrated last year. It still took a really long time. The freeze dried so much better. And we have learned doing fresh versus doing pre-frozen. Pre-frozen, it takes hours off the processing time. It just makes more sense for us. And it's also
shelf stable.
It's shelf stable. And I was thought about going fancy. Like you see all these recipes. Oh, I put this on it and I put this on it. And I was going to do that until I actually started getting into it. I was like, it doesn't make sense for us. I'm going to take all this food and I'm going to make it serve one purpose as a snack. I like my food to be in its most natural, most basic state for most items. Mm-hmm. Now, there are a few things I'm going to get, a little bit more creative. I'm going to be try to make some salsa this year, try to make some relish. But those are for specific things. Like first, we eat a lot of salsa. We do. And I need a few jars of pickle relish to make Aaron potato salad. Which
you're overdue on.
I'm not. He's fine. But those are the few things that's me. It's fancy candy. I know it's not. But I like to keep everything in its most natural state because for me it's so much more versatile. I could turn this into flour. I could throw it in soup. I could put it in a casserole. I can do anything I want with this zucchini and squash in the current state that it's in. Versus me making it to serve one purpose. I like to have multiple uses, multiple ways to use my food. I'm more likely to use it.
Yeah, and how many jars have we got so far?
21 quart jars.
21 quarts that we have
started
putting away, freeze dried.
Yep, and we have 4 more trays in the freezer, and we have a lot more to put up.
Yeah, half of our fridge right now
full of squash.
Is just squash and
it's
zucchini.
It's just squash. We're kind of cycling through.
But we have got creative with it as well.
We have made coleslaw with it.
Which you could give this to somebody, they would not know the difference between using cabbage and zucchini and squash. If I hadn't told my dad, he wouldn't have known.
No, he's like, I could tell a little bit, but he wouldn't know. Aaron said it was perfect.
It was good. I mean, that's a great use for getting creative with your garden vegetables to help save more money.
Absolutely, we had it with Asian. We've had it in just about everything. I mean, I really try to put it in and apply it and add it to every single meal that we're having right now.
Right.
The other thing we've done when it comes to food that I really feel like helps us and helps saves us money, and not only that, but it's so beneficial on our homestead because it gives me time. It gives me time away, or gives me time back in my day, and that is meal prep. And so I had always planned on investing in glass containers for meal prep. This was something that Aaron knew.
Yeah.
I had told him, like, this is something I want. Prime Day came and they were way less than what they have been, and for big batches, not even small batches, and they're normally like $50 or more, and they were way underneath that amount.
Plus we got 6% cash back that day as well, so you got an extra percent cash back on Prime Day. They've been doing that more recently, that you get more back, and sometimes they'll even do 10% back on certain items. So you got to really look and see what kind of extra discounts you can get those days.
But we knew we were going to make that investment, and I can tell you I will never turn back or go another way. They have been wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
It's saved me so much time. It's a little bit of work up front, but I'm not having to wash extra dishes. I'm not having to make extra plates. I'm not having to do all this extra work of dishing everything out. We're having a set amount of meal. I'm not overfeeding Aaron or myself. We're getting just what we need, and we're not wasting food.
Right. Because sometimes when she gets those plates, she's like, oh, I'll put an extra helping on it, and I'm like, what are you doing? I can't eat all of that.
I don't know how to cook for small, and I don't know how to cook for 3 people. Like one, it's hard.
Yes, but also at the same time, I don't eat as much as like your dad, for example. So when she tries to feed me like her dad, I'm like, oh gosh, I can't eat all that.
So we're not having any waste. We're not having any. I mean, it just worked out really well.
Yep.
And we have it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it saves me time for lunch. It saves me time for breakfast. Pop it in the microwave. It needs to be microwaved, or into the toaster oven, whatever we need to do.
Yep.
And it's ready to go and ready to eat. And it saves so much time. Like, I can use that time somewhere else on the house or on our homestead. I love it. We'll not go back to anything else. I knew I wanted, and we had plastic before, but we're trying to get away from plastic.
We're trying to get away from all those type of things.
Especially in things that we're eating.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for an example, today, trying to get to natural living, you know, we found your makeup box.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you got rid of all the unnatural stuff.
I did. I threw away everything. I've really, since 2020, when I got pregnant, I had really just stopped wearing makeup. I didn't want to put those chemicals on my skin, and I didn't want to, I stopped painting my nails, anything like that, because the chemicals I put on my skin would, you know, affect my baby.
Yeah.
And that was sort of the decision we made. I get lots of looks, and I'm going to get more looks for this, but it was a decision I made. I didn't want to take that risk, and I know a lot of people think I'm crazy, like, well, that's taking it a little bit too far, but we worked very hard to have Isabel. It was very important to us to take those steps, and it didn't hurt me. It gave me back more time in my day, because I wasn't having to put on makeup or anything. So really just don't do it now, not very often. Now, electricity, that's our next area.
So June, we did great. You heard
great.
us say we weren't going to turn on the AC or anything like that. We ended up having an electric bill of like $111 for that month.
And we did have to turn the AC on twice.
Twice during that time, when family members were over, that they
would have not have been happy.
Not used to
78, 79 degree weather.
Right.
And we understand that. We completely get that. We have always left our heat pump in the summertime at 78.
Right. So we weren't increasing it any more than normal.
Mm-mm. So we've never set our heat pump at like 72, 65. Like, that is, I would freeze. Aaron would freeze.
And that'd be like $600 electric bill anymore.
Like, you can't even imagine. So we have always kept it around that 78 to 80 degree mark. Anyways, that's what the house has actually been staying. We've actually been very diligent, very, very focused on keeping it that temperature.
We did make a couple of investments this month. We did, for July, that is, we did get a window AC and a portable AC.
So before, everybody's like, well, why don't you just turn on your heat pump? To run the heat pump for 3 hours, it tripled our power usage.
Yes. So for what we paid, those 3 hours equals 8 to 10 hours of usage for these.
Yeah, if we run it that much, then we're really not.
We constantly run it, which today and this week, we've had to run them more because it's been 90 degrees outside.
But we've kept the house.
We've kept it really cool.
We've kept it really cool. The room that gets the hottest is our office.
Yes,
this office. This office.
Yeah.
But we're really working on finding ways to mitigate it, preferably low-cost energy ways.
Yes. We've looked, maybe next month it might be something we invest in to get an exhaust fan.
Yep.
To, get the hot air out while we have, like the portable AC blowing air this way.
And cooler, trying to find our clothes, so we're wearing cooler clothes.
Exactly.
We're still we still haven't hit those boxes yet. We're working through them, but
yes.
Just trying to mitigate. So right now, we're really compensating because we could turn our heat pump on.
We could.
but we're wanting to run
The freeze dryer.
the freeze dryer, and we also need to run the dehumidifier down in the basement. So these are appliances that pull energy, a lot of energy. We can't run all three of them without the bill going up to like $400 or $500.
Right. We do expect that this one will probably
Be around 200.
Increase us about an extra $100 this month.
But that's our budget.
Right.
That's our budget.
That is
We're
true.
we are trying to maintain our current budget.
Yes.
All we are doing. And we have not been uncomfortable. The baby has not been uncomfortable. Like, she's been the primary focus, keeping her comfortable the entire time. And we are constantly monitoring her for, if she's getting hot or something. Like, her room stays, it's one of the most comfortable rooms in the house.
I know. But, like a lot of places can use swamp coolers, that have dry heat. We have the humid heat, which doesn't usually work here. So
we are. That's probably the worst part is the actual humidity, which is why we have to run the dehumidifier.
Yes.
To keep the mold from getting up into the basement.
Right. I did read that there's a few companies now where they've seen, energy usage, talking rolling blackouts and everything, that we're going to have to, as a society, come up with lower energy AC things, because everybody's using them so much right now.
And it pulls so much.
Right, and they said that is something that we'll probably see a lot of innovations in within the next 10 years.
Which would be wonderful.
Right. I mean, anything like that, lower energy usage can help, from your frugality standpoint. And, when you do have those rolling blackouts, you might be able to power that off of something solar-wise.
We would have installed the splits, the
Yes.
mini split system, but we do have a bit of an issue.
So the mini splits, if you've seen those, there's a lot of them that can run off solar now.
They're wonderful.
Wonderful. Seen so many great reviews on them. Will Prowse, if you haven't watched any of his stuff, go check him out, and you can see some of he's been doing a lot of mini split videos here, I guess because of the heat recently. But the only trouble with them is you have to drill that hole through your wall. We have a brick house.
And it's very well constructed.
Very well constructed. So it could be done. But most people that do the mini splits do them themselves. We don't have the equipment to do that. So it would be installation cost and dealing with somebody. So that's why we went this route for now. I did, look at energy efficient items.
Yes.
To try to, keep our cost as low as possible.
But we did make that investment in a new which we needed to. Our dehumidifier was it's older than Aaron.
So when we got the daily usage stuff, I was like, holy cow, what do we have on that day? And
we'd have nothing on.
Didn't have anything on besides the dehumidifier. That old, it was, I mean, I think that one was a 1990s dehumidifier.
It is very old.
It's very old, but it had like a huge bucket on it, and it always did so good.
It does. And we're not getting rid of it.
No.
We will keep it if we need it.
Yeah, for bad things, for like some kind of water leakage down there, whatever, using it. But it did draw so much energy that...
running it on a more regular basis like we have to with the humidity in our area, it does not make sense to have that thing running that often for the purpose that we needed it. But Aaron found one that was Energy Star rated, and we were able to get a rebate, and it was not...
Well, we hope a rebate. I was about to follow up on that one today. So we got a couple of Energy Star things that our parent company is supposed to send us, I think, $75 back on. I ain't heard anything on that. I meant to email them and be like, hey.
So the other area we've really been saving is the homestead.
Yes.
So our homestead's doing really, really well right now. Knock on wood. Everything's, doing pretty good. We are having a bit of issues. We have came across a bit of an issue with some of our plants, but it's okay. But we've not really had to fertilize this year.
No.
Very, very little. So why are we talking about that? Well, it cuts off your cost.
Yeah.
You're not paying for the cost of fertilize. We're not paying to water. We have not had to water. We're not paying for a lot of these things that, we're not have to pay for the energy usage or anything like that. All we're doing is having to weed and maintain, and that is all manual effort on our part. Nothing that we have to pay for, hire for, and we're maintaining it well. We're preserving the food, pulling the food. We're not letting it go to waste. So we're not wasting money, because squash and zucchini at our grocery store right now is $1.49 a pound. Which that really hasn't changed. That really hasn't changed. It's always been between 99 to $1.49. So it's stayed pretty much the same. You go up to the organic, that gets a little bit more pricey. Ours is organic because we don't treat it with anything.
Right.
Now where we are
not certified organic.
Not certified. No. We are having a bit of an issue because of this weather.
Yeah. A lot of rain.
A lot of rain. Kind of crazy weather patterns. We did end up getting blight on our tomatoes. There was nothing we could do to prevent that. It just sort of happened, and we're kind of monitoring and watching, and it's also forcing us to problem solve for next year, because that area is now not available for tomatoes, and we also want to prevent this in the future.
Right.
So we'll talk about that later when we talk about,
we might have to buy tomatoes now, which could cut into our frugality standpoint.
It could. But we'll talk about what we're doing this month, where our focus is here in just a few minutes. But main goal for the garden, the homestead, is to maintain. We're not doing a lot of projects right now because it is so hot. We typically tend to hold our projects back. We don't like to do, the heavy outdoor projects July and August. We try to do those in September when we can manage. Because September, it tends to be quite a bit cooler in the morning and in the evening for us, versus like right now. This is the hot part. It's miserable fast.
Yes, and it sort of came upon us awful quickly. We were having 50-degree nights still, and then we went to 70-degree nights.
Yes.
For an example.
70-degree days to 90-degree days in like a week.
Yeah.
We were having an unusually
cooler,
mild summer, summer season. Is very mild, not very hot, very comfortable, wonderful, really, which is one of the things that helped and hurt our garden. But it's came back with a full vengeance. It's gone very hot.
Yeah. I don't know if it's, I sort of looking at the weather forecast for us, and hopefully next week it's getting down in the 80s at least for us, with cooler nights again.
That's one of the things we're really watching, because we don't want to run the freeze dryer at 90 degrees, so we're kind of watching that to plan out when we actually run it. And we have a batch ready to go. As soon as one batch goes in, another batch goes into the freezer. We're really trying to keep ahead. Trying to just keep a little bit ahead, so when it gets done, I can clean it and get the next batch in.
Right.
We're not taking as many trips out.
No, we've definitely cut down on trips out, especially
even worse.
Even worse than normal. Just because we're trying to get that debt paid off quicker, and trying to save some money, for other things, like where we bought a window AC unit. We needed to save a little extra money. We haven't been, going out as much.
Yeah, we would normally go on little day trips, things like that. We've not really done that this summer. We've really really stayed home, but we have enough to do that it's not.
We got enough to do.
Enough to do. We're so tired, anyways, because not only are we doing all the homesteading and all the cooking and all the meal prep and all this, we're also full-time workers. So we feels like a lot of our time doing something all the time.
Yes.
We have been eating at home.
A lot more.
I'm loving it.
When we talked about before with the homestead remodel going on, that we was having to eat out, some more that just because we couldn't cook a lot of stuff.
Not like a regular person could
Right.
cook.
So we have definitely went back to
What's more normal for us?
normal for us, yes.
I will say we have found a convection air fryer oven. That's been very helpful. Heats up super fast, and it does not heat up my house nearly as much. It's been wonderful. And the way it cooks is fantastic.
Yeah, this is our first experience with her
Air
frying, and definitely a lot better taste on some items, that's for sure.
Yeah, we've loved the zucchini and squash. It's
different.
Really
different. I can't explain it.
It gives a really nice caramelization.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best way to explain it. It's got a really nice caramelization, and we've not gotten that burnt texture that you can get on the skillet. And that's how we tend to like ours. We really like it nicely caramelized and seasoned, and it's just been very, very nice. Now, we do have a few things we plan on doing this month to help us save money.
I will say one of the things is, if you heard me talk about before about getting our solar stuff,
Yes.
We did expand on that a little bit as well this month. We've got everything but our transfer switch in, which we need to clear out some boxes from that way, so when they put it in, that can be done. But until that point, I need to get the solar panels on some stands because they're movable, because we can't put them permanently here, because then we'd have to go through permitting and all of that. So we've got them movable for us, and
they're mostly ready to go. Aaron's really worked on that, and this has been budgeted for. This was budgeted for. This is not off budget. We absolutely planned on this after we finished the house remodel.
Right.
And we really decided this was important for us.
Right.
It just to help mitigate some costs.
Right.
And to also be part of our preps.
Yes. And hopefully after we get some of this up and going, we can, even until we get the transfer switch and the manual one, that we can run some more things off of it during the day and stuff. So something trying to work on. It's just right now with the heat and setting up solar outside. It's a little hot.
He was putting them together, and you could touch the little stands that he got for them, and they were burning. It was so hot. They were catching your hands on fire. I'm surprised we didn't get burnt. The other thing we're doing is in the garden, we are planning on doing no extra costs because fertilizer. So we're at the point where we can start doing some more fertilizing.
Especially for new things when we put into turnips and stuff like that.
Yes, because we have some squash plants that are getting ready to come out. So once those squash plants come out, the turnips go into that area. Even if we don't eat them, it's going to be great for the soil. Right,
because then it decomposes in the soil, helps it for next year. But we do like turnips.
We do. I love turnips. Yeah. I love them. They're amazing with a little bit of sugar and butter. So good. But yes, so we're going to be doing that. We're going to be using the banana peels that we get from the baby. We're going to be using those to help make some fertilizer. Now that our plants are at a good spot, we can start adding that to kind of help them produce, especially the squashes, the zucchini, the squashes, our succession squashes, our winter, our pumpkins, our melons, things like that, that really need that little extra help. Peppers. Excuse me. It's really focused on, but also for our fall garden, because it is that time of the year we really need to get started on getting the fall stuff out.
Yes. Our squash has been doing so good, though, but we're getting a lot of.
Yeah, we're getting a lot, and we did do a lot of succession planting, which means we're going to be getting even more.
Right.
The other thing, we have this built into our budget for this month. This is going to be a very heavy canning month for me.
Yes.
So we are going to have to mitigate that cost as well. because we will have to can. I've got peaches. I already know. We've already ordered peaches. I will probably
peaches.
have pears.
Well, we've already ordered corn.
We've ordered corn. But I'm going to be doing the corn in the pressure canner, the electric pressure canner, so it should not heat the house up.
Right.
It should not heat the house up as
So
much.
we're going to test that out this weekend. So we'll let everybody know next week in the podcast, if it did, heat up the house any, what our thoughts are on that. We might even do a video on that as well.
Once I learned how to use it.
It don't matter.
It don't matter. Yeah. No, because we, for us, there's no real way we can grow enough corn for us to eat on all year. We don't really have the space for that. That would take a lot of space a lot of fertilizer.
It does, and we've tried a few years here and there. I mean, we haven't had that great success. I know we have before at this location, but for us, we can do more vertical gardening in that space.
For things we really love.
Right, and buy corn at its cost.
And it's not that expensive for what we're getting. And it's local.
We're getting 2 whole bags full for $50 or so.
And it's a local farm.
Right.
It's a local farm. And we've not really had lots of issues with pests in it or anything like that. But they're like, the one rule is I don't shuck it. Somebody else has to do that. I will not shuck corn. I hate shucking corn. But we're very excited. We're going to freeze dry some, but my goal is to can quite a bit of it. And mostly in pint jars because that's really the size we need. Again, we don't get fancy. I'm not making corn relish, none of this stuff.
Corn.
Just corn. No cream corn. There's no reason for me to make that. We don't eat it that way.
No.
We don't. We put it in casseroles and in soups and things of that nature.
Yep.
But I do want to have some freeze dried if I need to make something super quick, or if something else that freeze dried will give me or if I need to make flour, I can grind it up and make a corn flour out of the freeze dried corn.
Yeah.
I do have that option. But we do know this is a very heavy preservation month for us.
Right.
We're getting into the heavy area for us because after August and it comes September is going to be apples.
Yes,
for most
or
of the month.
End of August. Yeah.
End of August. It's going to be all month will be apples. Filling the refrigerator up with apples.
Yeah. We're going to have a lot of. You're going to hear a lot of food preservation stuff from us coming up soon.
It's just our focus, and we don't do it fancy, but we do try to use as much of it as we can. Because not only will I will can corn, I'm also going to make corn called jelly. I'm going to use every single bit of this corn that I can to get the most bang for our buck. Because yes, I'm having to spend the money, but I'm going to use every single piece of this that I can. The husk and all that will go into the compost bin. All of that stuff. It all, you can also use it, I think, in some ways. We do not. It's okay. But we do use the cob, and it makes a wonderful jelly.
It does.
And it's just a great way for me to get twice as much yield from this that I didn't have before. So really working on getting our yield up. But it's built into our budget. We already knew the peaches were coming. I didn't need 2 cans this year, 2 boxes.
Right, because we still had a lot left over.
We did have a lot left over from last year.
And a lot of it's because we weren't able to eat it because of the house remodel.
Yeah, it was the house remodel. But I did want to do one batch and also do a batch of jam and also do some vinegar. I want to make sure we have some peach vinegar on hand because vinegar is so easy to make. And I'm planning on making quite a bit more out of the apples and everything. We need tons of apple cider. We use a lot of it.
Yeah.
So we have lots of really busy things. I have a lot of busy things happening. This is probably one of the, I feel like spring starts and then until wintertime, it doesn't really stop.
I know.
It feels like it's constant homestead and really focusing on that and really finding ways to save the most money. I will say one of the best things that we do to help save money for preserving is we try to have everything a year ahead. From our sugar to our candy lids, things like that. We try to get them a year ahead and we have them on hand. which really helps these make because you're paying yesterday's prices for something you need today versus today's prices, and candy lids have went up a bit. So what else are we working on this month?
Nothing else I can think of at the moment, particularly. Just staying in more, like we said, and not making more trips that are geared towards certain things.
Yeah, just really focusing on staying home.
Yep.
And that's okay. We're home buddies. We don't feel deprived because we're home. Like, not at all. We don't feel that deprivation because we're at home.
No.
We had to go out a few times this month. It's like, this is the most we've been out in ages. And well, there were trips we had to make. So we went, but it was just, we just like being home. We like our little nuclear family. It keeps us happy, and because it's naturally your home, you save money if you're not shopping on Amazon the entire time. Yeah. Any final thoughts for this month?
No, nothing in particular I can think of.
Yeah, I think we do pretty good. I mean, we've done okay. I feel really good about it. We put a big amount towards our debt. We did. Yep. We've made a dent.
Had a good grocery budget for this month as well.
And we've had very little waste, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah. If you are interested, we will be live on Porterhouse and Teal on his Sunday night show. So this is going to be our first, live with another homesteader, especially somebody with, his type
following.
of reputation and following. So, if you're interested, go over there and take a listen to us that day. But if not, please go over and check out his stuff. He's got some amazing stuff on biochar that I really need to, watch every single one from beginning to end that I think that we can, incorporate on our homestead.
I'm already, the one video, it's going in my head. I've already got plans. He's already inspired me. I've already got plans.
Yeah.
So, he's already given me value.
Yeah. So, it's 9 o'clock.
Our time, Eastern.
It was Eastern our time? Yeah,
Eastern.
9 o'clock Eastern
6
on
is.
Sunday night, yes. If you've got any questions, anything you want to hear in future episodes, send those over to thecannycouple@yahoo.com. Make sure to go over and check out our link tree where we have, all of our links to all of our social media. And
as always, thank you for joining us on Rural Reliance with the Canny Couple, where we work hard, live simple, and enjoy life. Have a wonderful day.